The image gadget can be used to add logos, pictures, or other images to the graphic display. It has three separate modes of operation. The first of these is as a simple decorative static image. It can be either stretched to fill the gadget bounds or set to maintain its aspect ratio. The second mode of operation is as a binary status indicator. In this mode, it can display a different image depending on if binary property is on or off. I've set up some test images so we can clearly see the status of the image. Let's also have the image flash when the property is on. We need to set the binary property we want to monitor. And then take a look. The property is currently active, so it is showing the on image and flashing. I'll turn the property off, which should make it change to the off image. The third mode is as an analog range indicator. I'll change the monitored property over to an analog property. And then change the image to the third mode of operation. In this mode, it will display one of three images, depending on if the property value is within a specified range, below the low limit, or above the high limit. We also need to specify the low and high limit values. I'll use 25 and 75 for this example. Now the image will give us a visual indication when the property is out of range. Let's test a value that is within normal range. And finally, a value that is over the high limit. The animation gadget is used to embed a GIF animation in a graphic display. It can be used as a decoration that always animates, but it has several other modes of operation that make it quite useful. The default mode is to animate when a property is on or has any non-zero value. I have set up a test animation that has 10 frames. Each frame contains just a number from 0 to 9. Notice that it is animating because the property is active or on. Turning the property off will make it stop animating and go back to the first frame. The second mode of operation is just the opposite. Animate when the property is off. To demonstrate the remaining modes, we will need to change it to use an analog property. The next set of modes will cause it to animate when the property value is below, above, within, or outside of a specified range. We'll test it animating when the property value is below the low limit, but we'll first need to tell it what the low and high limits are. We'll use 20 and 80 for these. Now it should animate when the property value is below 20. We can simulate a lower value since the property is out of service. I'll set it to 15, which should cause it to start animating. All of the range modes work in a similar manner. It is possible to set an inactive animation so that it animates one animation when the conditions are true and another when they are false. The map value to frame mode is useful for showing damper or valve positions. This mode will take the value of the property and map it to where it falls within the specified range. I'll set the range from 0 to 100 to mirror the 0 to 100% of a damper or valve position. Since our range is 0 to 100 and the animation has 10 frames, if the value is less than 10, it will show frame 0. If the property value is 10 to 19, it will show frame 1, and so on until at a property value of 90 plus, it will show the last frame, frame 9. If the animation has less than 10 frames, say 5 frames, it will divide the range by 5, and the frame would change every 20%. In our example, a value of 5 will show frame 0, while a value of 30 should show frame 3. There is a written explanation of how this works in the help file. The icon gadget can be used as a decorative element to show the status of a binary property, or to show when an analog property goes out of range. There is a library of several hundred icons included in several categories to choose from. The color of the icons can be changed, as well as several other customization features. The icon has several modes of operation, the first being a decorative static icon. The second mode makes it change the color of the icon or show a different icon depending on the value of a binary property. Let's set one icon for the on or active state and another icon for the off or inactive state, and let's also make it flash when on. Now we need to attach a binary property to the icon and then go to view mode to test it. We have a yellow X icon because the property is inactive. Changing the property to active should give us a flashing green plus icon. The third mode of operation will show the icon in 3 different states: normal, low, and high. I'll select a different icon for each of these 3 states. The default colors of green, yellow, and red will work for this example. This mode will need an analog property, so let's set that now. It will also require that we define a range, so it knows what the low and high limits are. Let's go with 25 and 75. Now, we should see 3 different icons in 3 different colors, depending on where the property value falls in the range we defined. There's a red right arrow for a high value, a green check mark for normal, and a yellow left arrow for a low value. It can also be set to only change the color of the icon by not supplying separate icons for low and high. It will only change the single icon to the low and high colors. Several options are available to fine-tune the position, size, and look of the icon. The defaults will usually be fine, but the options are here if needed. Turning the gradient off will allow for a single colored flat icon. The size of the shadow beneath the icon can be changed, or a glow effect added to make it stand out.